Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we're back to the balloons again. U.S. military is tracking another mysterious balloon. Now, this time around, I bet a bunch of you are probably going to say this has got to be a distraction. Back when the balloon fiasco happened, it was absolutely stupid how much crazy stuff they were saying, as far as they were saying that everything was an object. There were an object over here, an object over there, and of course, everybody was infatuated with it. What was funny is we covered it probably a few days before it really got traction, and really didn't realize how big of a story that was going to get. The reason why it became a big story is because of who was potentially behind it. And in the back of all of our heads, I do believe most of us do kind of know what's happening here. Whether it was true or not, whether it did happen, the fact that we were being told that it was from a certain country really had the back of our brains kind of zing. I think most of us here have probably seen Red Dawn and seen a scenario of another country kind of taking us over. So it's a very creepy thing when you think about, all of the rumors about what China wants to do with the world. But it says that the U.S. military is tracking a mysterious balloon that flew over American soil, but it's not clear what it is or who it belongs to. It says according to the 3 U.S. officials, which they always get some random people to basically commit treason every time they talk about secrets. It says the object flew across portions of Hawaii but did not go over any sensitive areas. Well, who knows if it needs to go over a sensitive area. If it's up in the air by Hawaii, then it probably could, right? It says the U.S. military has been tracking it since late last week and has determined that it poses no threats to, of course, aerial traffic or national security, and is not communicating signals, one official said. So one thing that I don't understand is if they don't know exactly what it is, don't know where it's from, how are they absolutely sure that it does not pose a threat to national security? They would be able to tell you, oh, this is a balloon, this is a weather balloon, this is from this country, this is from here, it is one of these models, it is an XB5 weather balloon. They would be able to say that if they knew that it wasn't a threat to national security. So either they're lying, or they are, flubbing up something, or the entire thing's made up, or they're just trying to make us feel better. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Tonight's going to be a great show, so make sure to stick around. This is Marfoogle TV. We're going to go over all of the crazy world events that are going on in the last 48 hours. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to go over, and if you are new here, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com and follow all of the bibliography. In fact, over there, we have a full bibliography of all of our sources. Every single article, tweet, video, picture, document is going to be there right on our webpage. Now, when you go over there, you'll see at the very bottom of the page, all you have to do is look for this thumbnail. There will be a full bibliography and overflow, all of the stuff that could not fit into today's show. Also, while you're on the website, make sure to also go to marfooglenews.com/friends. There is an entire list of all of our mods and friends that we either work with, vouch for, or think are amazing people, so make sure to also go check there as well. Coming up here in a few days, I will be doing a collab, so I'll announce that when we have it cemented. But also, I wanted to say again, just a quick prayer for Mike Morales and his family. If you did not catch the last show, we did mention that Mike Morales, he ended up passing, I believe, on Friday. So Friday or Thursday night. So yeah, again, rest in peace, Mike Morales. And again, we're going to try to put something together, more put together for him. Let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
And let's see here. So, and Dex, I don't know if it's on my end, but the website was
refresh. It's there.
Okay, perfect. And Dex, let's get your opinion on the balloons. Obviously, many people are just going to poo-poo it away. Personally, I'm looking for anything that's coming from China. They don't know if this is Chinese, though, and they're saying that it's heading towards Mexico.
Well, on one hand, you'd think because maybe they're anonymous, they would, maybe not have all the information, but actually this is coming from departments. So it seems like they're actually putting this information out. They just don't want to have their names associated with it when they do it. So, and I agree with what you said. They know what's up there. Like, they can fly a plane by it. They can see it. They can take pictures of it from satellites. If they can read, a book on the ground from a satellite, they can certainly read the details on a weather balloon or some sort of large flying object that's moving very slowly. I'm sure they can get all sorts of details from it. And if they know it's not going to cause any harm, then they certainly probably know exactly what it is, and they can probably backtrack exactly where it came from.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, just like last time when those leaked documents came out, the very first ones essentially said that there were pictures about what was on the balloon. There were pictures from the plane. They know what it is. What's crazy is how much the governments of the world actually lie to us on a daily basis. And of course, if they do get caught, it's for our own good. It's for our own safety. There is pretty much zero transparency when it comes to the ruling class of anything, because they believe it's in our best good, and if we did know, we would make all sorts of mistakes. We would panic, or we just couldn't handle it. You can't handle the truth, is what they're telling us. Dex, go ahead.
Well, I think it was in the leaks recently, they covered that there was numerous of these overhead flights from, objects like this or balloons. And we've also seen them report in the past that they said, yeah, this kind of stuff has happened before. So is this the new norm? Like, in other words, every time a object is floating in from the ocean or going across islands or something like that, are they going to start reporting it and announce it? Like, they publicly announce this. They've never announced any of these before, and they didn't even announce the last one until the public found it and started talking about it. So, and then they were sort of forced to announce it. So it'll be interesting to see if all of a sudden, every couple weeks or at least once a month, we're going to start hearing about balloons that the military is tracking. Or is this just a one-off case that they have a reason to tell us the story?
I bet somebody has infiltrated and is turning a blind eye. Whoever's the top guy at whatever department is like, taking a $20 bill, more like a $20,000 bill, to go, oh no, that's FBI stuff. Don't bother with that. That's CIA. Don't worry about that. Just log it as a work van underneath the New York jail that leaves at the same time as someone goes missing, perished. And then U.S. regulators seize First Republic and sell substantially all assets to J.P. Morgan in largest bank failure since 2008. Dex, don't you think it's funny that this bank basically got consumed and eaten up by one of the bigger banks? And, everybody has been talking about how some think that they are just trying to get us into less banks. So everyone will be under, 3 or 4 umbrellas, say JP Morgan Chase, that kind of thing, Bank of America, this and that. It seems like they're consolidating and making it so there's less to track.
That would be the appearance, at least the fact that they're telling us that these regional or smaller, even though some of them like the Silicon Valley one was not a very small bank, but it was smaller compared to Bank of America. But watching these smaller banks fail, and it's certainly it's hurting the confidence of the consumer or of the public about their financial institutions, whether it's a big bank or a small bank. But because we're only hearing about it in the small banks, and then because the Wall Street money is sort of running from the smaller banks now because of this, while this hurt First Republic because they had some bad stuff on the books, so to speak, just like Silicon Valley Bank did. Rightfully so, people were concerned, but now people look at it and say, well, it looks like the whole smaller banking industry is not sound. So people are worried about moving their money out and putting it into the big banks. So, not a surprise that a big bank is the one that gobbled this up. They can certainly afford to do it. It's probably a drop in the bucket in their numbers, and they can afford to take any of those losses, or at least try to reclaim what they can out of it and make some money off of it. I'm sure they're getting a good discount. But the interesting thing, we called this last week. We were talking about it. They were looking like they were on the verge of being taken over, and then sure enough, Monday they were taken over and then immediately sold. So that was pretty fast.
And there was rumors about this when Silicon Valley happened. There were rumors, and there were people looking at how similar this one was. And then, of course, we talked about it and said this is probably going to be the next to go. And what's funny is that they're calling out other ones now that have a very similar look to this one. So are we going to see more banks in the near future do this? I think there probably will be. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And as far as the banks, it seems like something is trying to collapse the system to make us go to conflict with each other, that in just a couple years, when all of the people that have aged out of this school system that has been pumping in a solid message of I guess segregation, I think that it's all going to come to a head one of these days, and it's going to get really, really bad. I really hope it doesn't, but if you have eyes and can see what's happening right now, it doesn't look good. And then Flint asks state and feds to find out the source of the mysterious booms that feel like fireworks underground. So this has always fascinated me. You guys, I've covered this for years as far as the booms underground. Foogle fam have experienced these. I've experienced these. I've only experienced this twice. I've experienced 3 times where I've heard these booms, and it wasn't fireworks. I've hundreds of times where I've experienced the fireworks, huge booms that aren't around 4th of July that pretty much are people lighting off fireworks. These people can tell they're under their house. They shake homes. Even people have sat out and waited for these things. In some places, these have happened on such a regular basis, they're able to get cameras up. They're also able to take all of the Ring cameras and all of the doorbell cameras and look at these. And a couple of agencies actually went in and looked at all of this footage, and there was no ability to triangulate the thing to a certain location. It wasn't directional. They took directional mics, but they were able to actually detect that the ground was shaking. Now, they didn't do that specifically for this one, but this is what's going on right now. There are these booms under the ground. Is it the world shifting? Is something going on? We obviously have our poles that are wiggling around and moving all over the place, and we have these secretive things going on with our government and companies like the Boring Company. If people don't think that the Boring Company is doing side work for the military, then I don't know what to say. Elon has a company that can dig humongous holes, which I'm from Seattle, where they use the Big Bertha to dig one of the largest tunnels in the West Coast. And this tunnel took years and years to make. And it's very fascinating to even look at how they do it, because Big Bertha, for example, is something out of like the Incredibles movie or something. Like, it's literally this huge tube thing with a drill that spins and digs out the ground and basically makes and places cement as it goes. I mean, it's a factory. It not only digs the hole, but it makes the walls, and it's crazy. It's really cool that humans can even make things like this. But if you think that the Boring Company is just digging hoops or loops for Hyperloop, then I think you have to be a little off, because they have all of this money coming in. And then some people have questioned how Elon got so rich. When you look, it's easy to say, well, he's got all these businesses and all of them are doing well, and Tesla and this and that. But I wonder if they can move money from this place to this place and make it look like it's coming from Tesla, or make it look like it's coming from Neuralink or something like that, when it's really coming from the Boring Company. There's huge amounts of money that are just missing every year. Every year, the U.S. government just has money that they can't account for. And this money could be going into black projects like digging tunnels underground, deep underground military bases. The thing is, though, this is what sucks, is we wouldn't be invited down there. At least I don't think we would. If we were going to be invited down there, they would have told us about it, and we would do drills, once a year or once every 5 years with the residents of the United States, and they would say, hey, during an emergency, go down to this place, or here's where it's located. But no, we're not. Maybe if a really bad emergency, I mean like the big one, something like Yellowstone, or something like a meteor is coming, maybe then they'll use the presidential alert and say, go to this place, and they'll be able to send it to every phone and say, hey, here's your specific one. But I highly doubt it. I think that this is for the military. It's for transportation of secret things. I mean, think about this. They have so many secrets. They're not going to tell us. You're not going to see a top secret jet flying on the back of a truck through an interstate. You're just not. Usually they put it on a big plane, but they have stuff that's way bigger than that. And one thing that Elon has said is that they can accommodate giant things under there. So if you think about it, it makes all the sense in the world to make a tunnel where they can take top secret projects from where they're built to where they are going. If you can go the entire route of the United States without going up above ground, they would do that in a heartbeat. And trust me, they spend a whole lot of money on military, on the industrial complex, whereas above ground, there's potholes everywhere. And Arnold's out there filling it himself. But again, down below and everything for military, they'll spend money hand over fist. They'll buy $20,000 toilet seats for jets. They don't care about that. So I highly think that these booms are related to tunneling and to making these things happen. Plus, we are headed into a conflict. That's my opinion, at least. And who knows? Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing that this is happening. What do you guys think, though? Do you think it's pole shift? I'll go over to the chat for a minute. Dex, it's really odd because they're actually getting the feds involved. They've tried before, but a lot of the time they just go, they don't care. But now they're really hassling them to figure out what this is.
Yeah, it's rather interesting that they're bringing it to a new level. At least the local government is. So it's good to hear that. This is not just in their town, which it is to them, and that's what they're reporting. But like you said, we hear about this all the time from lots of different places. I've never heard it here because the only booms I've ever heard here are attributed to our mines, because we have a lot of granite mines around here, and if you live near one, you'll occasionally get one of those rumbles. But we know what that is, and they tell us, and you can look it up and find out if they did that. But certainly a lot of other people in other places are hearing these underground sounding rumbles that are they're unexplained, and nobody will give us a definitive answer. And of course, it's rife with conspiracy, if you want to call it that, or questioning and wondering what really is happening down below, whether it's the earth, whether it's tunnels, whether it's testing, whether it's destruction of something. I mean, nobody really knows.
And another thing is, this just happens to be in Flint. Could these booms that have been happening for years, could this have something to do with, of course they say, what is the official narrative on the Flint thing, that the plant leaked or something, or something happened with one of the factories that messed up their water? The reason why Flint can't even drink their tap water and has not been able to for years. What did they say it was? Do you remember it was some sort of plant leak or something? Either way, it almost makes you think, could that be something like...
Yeah, it was.
Go ahead.
I think it was lead and bacteria, but I can't remember if it was the company there or something else. But I don't think it was underground. I think it was above ground.
Whatever that may be, I just think out of all the places, it ends up being in Flint. So Flint, dealing with their water, they're having these mysterious booms underground. Makes you wonder if something else is going on underneath there, right? Just, I don't know. Out of all the places in Flint, Michigan. And then, Dex, do you want to go over the godfather of AI leaves the oogs and warns of danger ahead?
Well, here we have yet another leader in the AI space. Now, this one is actually, I guess, on his way out because he's quit his job or retired or whatever you want to call it. But I think technically he says he quit. And he's worked there for more than a decade and is one of the most respected voices in the field of AI. And he is, as others have come out and said, I don't think that this is headed in the right direction. Not that where he was working necessarily. I don't know if he's trying to throw them under the bus as much as he's saying, look, we do have dangers lying ahead with AI, and not sure exactly what the solution is. I know there's been the whole notion of let's delay things for 6 months. I think he was one of the people that came out and said, no, that's probably not going to do it. It's bigger than that. But it's I guess his opinion is it's hard to see how you can prevent the bad actors from using it for bad things. And that's the truth. I mean, look at everything that we've ever invented. It seems like bad people who have bad intentions make bad things happen with it, whether it's, something as simple as a telephone or a television or the internet or a web page. Bad people do bad things with those inventions when they come out, and they make bad things happen. And that's sort of a fact of life. But in this case, we could get to a point where these bad people or these careless people, maybe they don't have bad intentions, but they get us to a place where we're beyond the point of no return, and we can't undo it once the cat's sort of been let out of the bag, so to speak. So that's the biggest concern. And again, it's coming from yet another person. This is a highly respected individual from the AI side of things at Google, but also not just that. He was pretty high up with the company as far as technical prowess and brain power. So not telling us something we don't know, because we talk about this all the time. We're worried about it.
And we've been worried about it since before it was popular. Now everybody is talking about it, and it's because now it's finally getting brought up right before we're driving off a cliff. We've talked about this all as far back as before even the drone technology got to where it is, because the reason why we brought this up a lot is because there were rumors of this kind of stuff happening way before it actually hit. And now the public is getting this. Just imagine when the governments had this, we are getting the kind of skip stones down from what they've had 5, 10, 15 years ago. And I do believe that. As far as Dex, did you get I may have forgotten to send you this, but there's Elon went on Bill Maher. I talked to you about it earlier, but did I send it to you?
No, I don't have it.
That's okay.
You tweeted it though, right?
I did. I tweeted at least the quote I wanted. If you can see if you can find that, because there is a quote there. Essentially, that if you could attach it to the website, that would be great, because people should go look. He admitted. He says, well, I think so. First of all, China's not going to delay. China's not going to stop. And then China's going to get ahead of us. And this is a really scary thing. In my view, we should have just never gone down this. Just make it against the law, which is crazy. And people are probably like, what, you just don't want us to evolve? Sort of. I mean, like, this is really bad. I mean, it may be good. Maybe we're going to, be happy and own nothing, right? That's why they're saying it. We aren't going to be able to own anything because we're not going to be able to work. They're going to have to, and who knows, maybe the whole reason they're trying to get us into the socialism thing is because they know they have to. That's a scary thought. Like they know that there won't be a middle class, there won't be a lower class. Capitalism won't work with the future of evolution. The capitalism will not work because the robots will be doing everything. That AI will be able to do it. You won't be able to come up with anything. You won't even be able to do a YouTube channel. These AIs are going to have personalities. They're going to have humors. They're going to make a visual that looks like a human being talking just like me. Imagine in 10 years from now, if you're watching a show like this that looks just like this, you will not be able to tell if it's a human or if it is. And it's not going to be glitchy or at all. I mean, it's going to look like a real human being. They're going to have their own personalities, their own lisps. They're going to talk a different way. They're already to this point, but you can still... A professional can still catch them and go, oh, the mouth didn't line up, this and that. They didn't. But Elon admitted something or said something that maybe we should all be looking at. Elon said that he has talked to these people, the reason why they don't want to quit, and the reason why a bunch of these guys, and think about the people he's talking about, the richest rich of the rich. What is one thing they cannot buy? Chat, what is one thing that no rich person can buy? Immortality. He said that they want AGI so that AGI can figure out a way to increase longevity, to live longer. They have all of this money and they couldn't possibly spend 1% of it in their lifetime. And you know what these greedy effers do? They're like, I have to give it away or I have to pass it down to somebody. Imagine what these really grumpy old rich people that are not the kind of people that will leave all their money to charity, what do? We've literally seen TV shows where they try to find a protege or find somebody who is likable so they can pass their money down to, like a son. Or we've even seen on shows where they're trying to find a prince. Right? They're trying to find somebody that will be a good heir to their estate. They don't want it to just go to charity. They don't want it to go away. They want it to go. But really what they want, they would love it if they could live another 100 years and spend more money and have more disgusting experiences and fly on more private jets and get more and more and more and more power. What's so crazy to me is how many people are at this level. They're all so powerful and they're all able to just throw away money to the point where there's nothing bad about them. They don't have to worry about things we worry about. Not just like, oh, can I pay to this month's rent? But they don't even have to worry about people bad talking him. Somebody like Elon, he chooses to be there. But there are people above Elon. Elon is not the richest person in the world. Don't believe that BS line. He is down here. There are many people above him. If you think that the old money that's been going around for all this time, that Elon surpassed all of those people that have literally ran the planet since before the medieval ages. Sorry, the Morgans, the Chase, the Rothschilds, I guarantee you they've got more. And they might have what they have on public, but they have way more. Because there are rich people that you don't know their name because they will not have their name in any paper. They own the papers. If they publish a name, that paper is going to get pulled out from the stack. Their names are unpublished. That's how rich. And if you don't think that there's a richer oil tycoon than Elon, I don't know what to say. Look at how much money they make per day. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars per day, if not billions. It's insane how much some of these people have. So it's really crazy to me that they want to get this AGI real fast because they think AGI will be able to instantly go, here's how to solve the death thing. Here's how they're chasing the fountain of youth. That's what they're doing. Dex, just crazy. I mean, think about it. If this AGI is smarter than humans and they reach singularity and this thing is just absolutely crazy, they could find out things that we would have never thought it's going to change Earth. If they're worried about aliens coming down because it might mess up religions, imagine if this AGI tells us the reason for life or the purpose of life or tells us what happened with God or something. Like if it tells us everything and is able to figure out through math or something how everything happened in the world. That would change everything too. And it might cause the whole world to flip on its side.
Oh yeah, imagine if all of a sudden it starts, you know, confirming what have been labeled conspiracies and confirming them as truths because it has enough information and insight to put together some of those things and say, yeah, this thing's legit, even though they're not. They're trying to cover it up and they're saying it's not.
It's crazy. I think it's nuts what's happening right now. Fairies of Venus, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the support, and I appreciate you. Thank you for supporting Independent. Speaking of which, I just saw an update on our back end that says we're updating the partner program reapplication policy and extending pause mode for channel memberships. They're probably changing it so if you get knocked off to reapply, they're gonna lengthen stuff. That's scary. And then EpiPen's private calendar reveals planned meetings with President O and administration official, CIA chief says. Why is CIA it says Jeffrey EpiPen's newly revealed private calendar showed scheduled meetings with the current CIA director, a college president, and an attorney who served in the administration, according to a report published Sunday. Why is this even being published? And by the way, this goes back to kind of what I was saying this morning on Twitter about how colleges are building armies. The soldiers are children, and they are unknowingly being trained for a future conflict with ourselves. New documents which belong to the rich convicted pedo were obtained by the Wall Street Journal, showed planned meetings with a slew of prominent individuals, including now CIA Director William Burns. Bard College President Leon Botstein, White House Counsel Catherine Rumler, and Professor Noam Chomsky. All the scheduled meetings were slated to take place after EpiPen was jailed in 2008 on charges of solicitation, including soliciting a minor. WSJ could not prove each scheduled meeting actually took place, and the documents did not reveal the purpose for the meetings. A spokesperson for Burns, who has taken the CIA's helm since 2021 under the B administration, said that the nation's spy chief met with EpiPen a decade ago when he was trying to leave the government. It says, quote, the director did not know anything about him. The CIA director did not know anything about him. That's like when they go in these Congress and they go, so you don't know what happened here? And they're like, my team will get you an answer in 14 days, but we can't answer that today. But my team will give you something. We'll work on it. Come on. The CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, the people that are spying on everybody and anything, along with the NSA, and they work together to find out anything and everything about anyone and everyone? Other than that he was introduced as an expert in the financial services sector and offered general advice on transition to the private sector. Oh! And offered general advice on transition to the private sector. Have you ever heard of the rotating door that happens where they leave this thing and they go into that? Or they're in the government system, they'll give a lenient kind of they'll give a crutch to a certain company, and then right after they leave, they end up at a certain company. Or they, let something go, a bill that profits, say Costco or something, and then they end up the CEO at Costco. It's just funny how this rotating door happens. And the military industrial complex is the same thing. They'll, get them a budget for $500 extra million. And then when they retire, they're, oh, well, we offer you a job. But what's crazy is that's what they're saying, that he knew about this, right? Yet even, what was it? Cheney's wife is even saying that they knew about it. If all of the government officials say and now are admitting that they all knew what he was doing, but nobody could prove it, you think the CIA, the literal director of the CIA, didn't know about this? What do you guys think? Do you call BS on that? It says, Thorpe said, and it says, quote, they had no relationship. But anyway, side rant on everything EpiPen. Dex, this is just nuts. Do you believe that he didn't know anything?
No, come on. So this was after the first arrest. That made national news, right? And before the second arrest, which is when he finally got jailed. So in between that time, everybody knew who he was. It was was well known. So if you were in any position in the government, you had to have known who this guy was. So yeah, I'm not buying it one bit that any of these people don't know. And it's interesting though that we're getting more leaked information or more information coming out. This is rather interesting because it's not necessarily like the little black book, so to speak, or the records of who traveled on what, or and log entries of visitors to this location or flights on that location. This is somebody went in and got the information out of a calendar for appointments. So yet another really fascinating insight to who is actually involved or potentially involved in some of the goings on with EpiPen. So kind of fascinating. And, I think we're going to hear more and more of these over time if more of this information can come out. I think everybody that's involved is trying to keep, a tight lid on this, and they don't like it sneaking out. So it makes you wonder why this got out, especially through, the channels it did.
So, and you guys know how all of these people went there, dozens and dozens of times, 30, 40 times. Here's the thing. So almost everybody here knows about the Davos and like the Grove and all of these big meetings, but these big meetings only happen a couple times a year. Whereas you would get some of the most powerful people, but only in smaller groups going to EpiPens. I think that EpiPens it was of course what they say it was, but don't put it past it that this was actually a meeting area for them to plan stuff. A college president, now think about what's been going on with colleges over the last 20 years. Think about how schools have been changed. And if you don't know, now you may be on this side or that side, but if you are on this side of the aisle, you pretty much have no future in any college across the country now. It is literally that crazy. It's that bad. Or if you are, you have to be quiet, be silent. You cannot talk. I mean, that's how bad it is. And it is known. It is now a fact that the majority of colleges are run like this. And if you are one, they will find a way to oust you. They will find something. Or if you make one mistake, you're out. So why do you think the college president went there, right? It's just who the people, and some of the people aren't the people you would expect. They're not the rich billionaires, but they are powerful in one way or another. Some of these colleges most definitely have a huge pull on the world. I mean, think about Yale and Harvard, and I mean, look at where everybody. And what's funny is, I just saw an interview with Dershowitz talking to Bill Maher, and it was kind of crazy because. Or no, it was Dennis Prager talking to Alan Dershowitz, and the one thing they do agree on, they said that they don't see eye to eye on anything, but they see eye to eye on free speech. A great documentary called No Free Spaces, No Safe Spaces, and they were talking about how they agreed on that. But Dershowitz, obviously being a professor at this crazy school, says, I used to look at my classroom and I'd say, you're the future, Secretary of State. You're the next president of the United States. You're this and this and that. And he said all of these crazy, crazy positions. And he was saying it in a way like, you are the future. But when he said it, it was like, that he's actually telling you, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. Not like he picked, but that's where these people come from. Every president, every vice president, every secretary of state, all these people came from these same schools and colleges. They're all connected. It's so insane. And most of them they're not actually smart. It's not like they got there because their mommy and daddy's on the board and donates $500,000 to, even if they are drunk and, run over mailboxes, daddy can fix it. Well, we'll give you a new gym. That's how it works. So this is pretty crazy stuff. Follow it. Read the rest of the article over on marfooglenews.com. There's really, really crazy stuff. All the Ivy schools used to be for clergy. Looking up 333. Good sign of how bad things have changed. While everyone was sleeping. I've been awake since 2001, and it's just scary. And then before we talk about the out-of-control rockets, spacecraft that could become deadly, I do want to remind you, if you haven't already, if you do want to protect yourself against an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, if you don't know what one is, then I'd highly recommend doing your research, or a Carrington level event from the sun. It is something that will happen. As far as the solar event, we will have a Carrington level event at some point. We are overdue by most standards. And of course, if that happens, there is a potential that it could knock our entire grid out. It really comes down to if we get that solar event by the time we get caught up and protected worldwide. And I really mean worldwide, because if it happens right now, we are really vulnerable and we are really screwed. If you have a vehicle that is prone to getting shut off during an EMP or a CME, then I'd highly recommend getting an EMP shield on it. You can not only get these for your cars, but you can actually get them for your trucks, your motorcycles, your boats, your RVs, or if, your motorhomes. You can get these and protect those if you want to be able to move. If you want to get one of these on your car so you can get home to bug in or get out to bug out, then go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You will get $50 off per device, and you will also be helping independent channels like myself. So again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. It's 100% American made. It's a veteran-owned business, and it's the same company that's not only recommended in the DHS EMP Resilience Report, but they're also working with agencies like DHS, DOD, and now the DEMSO team. Again, great product, and it's easy to put in. If the car version takes less than 10 minutes, anybody can do it. You don't have to be a mechanic, and then your car will be protected, so it will still run. This stacks on top of any sale they're doing. So if you see a sale on their website, when you use our our code and our link, this stacks on top of all of them. So that is one really great part about it. So if you want to outfit multiple cars or outfit your generators, your solar generator in the case of the Flex 1500, or even your ham radio, they make one for everything. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Thank you in advance for doing so. And then the out-of-control rockets and spacecraft that could become deadly. Dex, do you want to go over this?
Wow. So they've actually come up with a statistic. They're saying that there's actually a 10% chance that falling debris will take someone out within the next decade. That's a pretty decent number. That's not like, lightning strike or winning the Powerball. 10% chance of happening. And by the way, they just said the NASA satellite that crashed back last week had a 1 in 2,500 chance of taking someone out. So even those odds, while high, are much better than a lot of other odds around here that we deal with on a daily basis. So not that that means anything, but still, that's pretty low when you think about it. The entire planet and these little things that are falling out of the sky. But why are they coming down? And that's what they're talking about. And they're basically, and we've covered a lot of these objects, and specifically we've talked about and asked the question, like, why are they putting it in the news and bringing it up to our attention more so in the last year than ever before. And that's what this article is all about. I mean, they're really pumping up the numbers. They're talking about the number of launches since 1957, so 6,380 of them. The number of satellites in orbit, there's over 15,000. Numbers that are still in space, there's 10,290. Of that, only 7,500 are functioning, and the number of debris objects is over 33,000. That's a lot. So, and the stats they have just go on and on. But when you think about it, the more we keep putting up, the more chances we have of something coming down or falling down. Whether it's in air, whether it's in sloppiness, like China and how they launch their big rockets that they have no way of necessarily controlling how to bring them back down. So they just let them fall wherever they may land. As opposed to somebody like Elon, who actually controls and for the purpose of reusing their rocket bodies, they bring them back down in a controlled manner. I understand accidents happen. I understand satellites get old, but there's got to be a better solution to this, I would think, going forward, because it's getting to the point now where it's becoming a very frequent thing. And now the stats are actually saying you have a decent chance of somebody getting hurt in the not too distant future.
Yeah, they described it as like a big yellow school bus without a driver and no brakes. So That would be pretty unlucky. I'm sure that would make the Darwin Awards if you get hit by a satellite. Or not so much the Darwin Awards, more like the... what was that crazy show that talked about all the crazy ways to go? Wasn't it 101 Ways to Perish or something? But, obviously the other word. And then Paris cops set on fire as reported 2.3 million protesters demonstrate in France. Now, I tweeted this video earlier. Dex, you got pictures here, but there's also a video of it going off in the middle of the crowd of police that I tweeted on Twitter early this morning. Did you see that video? It's scary. Like the popo drops on the ground and starts rolling. The other two run while they're literally lit up. It says clashes broke out on the streets of Paris as cops ended up on fire as they tackled Mayday pension protesters. Furious demonstrators showed their anger at French President Emmanuel Macron's unpopular pension policy. Of course, speaking about how they raised the age for retirement from 62 to 64. Now, that's a huge, huge thing to be able to add 2 more years on without asking. They just said, nope, this is how it is now. Which a lot of us here fear, it's really bad. If you go your whole life, you expect a certain day you're going to be done. And then they go, nope, psych. They literally psych you. It says bank windows and bus stops were smashed, bicycles were torched, and cops were also hit by objects after Mr. Macron raised the retirement age from 62 to 64. Labor rights are celebrated across the globe on May 1st, and campaigners marked the day by hitting the streets demanding higher salaries, reduced working hours, and better working conditions. So like many other things, like, the whole Bud Light thing that happened, people said, oh, well, this is bad. There was an AP article that said, oh, this is a great exaggeration that, usually things like this, yes, it is bad. They admitted it's really, really bad, but they usually boycotts don't usually last that long. They said the same thing about this. They said, usually they'll go out and protest, but it's not going to last that long. I don't think France is going to give in on this one. I think they're pretty pissed, and I think they saw right through whatever they were doing. Also, I think that a lot more people with the internet are a lot more educated on what's going on around the world, and they're like, hey, this is shady. Things are happening all over the world. They're doing this in different places. They're doing it in China. They're doing it in all sorts of places. And it's like, people are pissed off. People are tired of it. People are tired of getting pushed around and pushed back and people messing with their money. So, this isn't going away. Most of these things do not last this long, but I think people are kind of pushed to the edge, and now these things will be big things, and it will continue. What do you guys think? Let me know your opinions down below. It says around 1 million marched across France as part of the protests, with 500,000 pouring into the streets of Paris. A police spokesman said that there has been widespread disorder across the city with more than 55 arrests. I'm actually surprised it's that low with how many people are there. It's nuts over there. Yeah, and I wouldn't, by the way, I wouldn't show that video here, but you can go over to my Twitter at Marfoogle and find that, and then I'll send it to Dex if he doesn't already have it somewhere over on the website. You can go to that.
We'll put it on the website.
Okay. Did you see that? Did you watch it?
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it goes boom, scary. Right in the middle of them too. It's a big. It's not like a firecracker or something. It's a boom. You see the flames go up, and it actually catches them. It lights them up. And also, since it is here, I'll just show this, since Dex went through the trouble to grab this real quick. I'll just show you. Let's see. Here's the tweet of Elon on Bill Maher. So you can also go watch this not only over on my Twitter at Marfoogle, but you can also go see it over on the website at marfooglenews.com. Let's see here. Let's see. Let me try to... Yeah, so check this. Let me pause it so it doesn't give me a copy. copyright thing. But yeah, this is the interview. Go watch the full interview. It's not that long. I think it's about 20 minutes. But it was actually pretty insightful, and that's when Elon was talking about how he admitted that they're looking for longevity. They want AGI to come up with an immortality thing. It's starting to come much clearer what's going on. And then never before seen Chinese military blimp caught on satellite images before remote desert base. So check this out. This is what they're saying it looks like. Something like this. And look, do you see this big old I guess what would you call it? Dex, what would you call it? Hangar. This big old hangar, and that is so big, mind you. Those are buildings down there, and actually those are containers. So you can imagine how big a person is. This is almost the size of hangar that they used to cover like Chernobyl. If you've ever seen what they ended up rolling over Chernobyl. This is bigger than a stadium kind of roof that goes over. This is a giant hangar. And I said years ago, we got really good information, which we passed on to you guys. China is building in obscure places in the world, in some of their allied countries, and in their country, they're building in some of the weirdest places in the world, and they are building in areas that are hidden from satellite. So what we see is not only buildings like this, but there's also places in the jungle where they are building Air Force, parts of their Air Force under these massive covers. Some of the ones that they have in the jungle are actually covered with, fake leaves or faux leaves on top of them. So it looks like you're just looking at the ground when regular people and villagers that have even gone into some of these places show that they're 200 feet high, hangars and these huge buildings where they're building this stuff. And they can obviously tell, like, why is the roof grass? You know what I mean? So they're building some sort of blimps. I was thinking, what if this was cheap and they were possibly even solar powered, where they could build thousands upon thousands of these for much, much cheaper than planes? Would that also solve, since they can go to certain altitudes, would that solve the problem of getting across the water if they were to try to attack us? Or they could use these to deploy drones that would then attack us? It says a large blimp developed by the Chinese military has been spotted for the first time at a remote base in the desert of northwestern China. Exclusive new satellite imagery obtained by CNN shows. Now, mind you, this is coming from them, so take it with a grain of salt. Aerospace experts say that the images taken 3 months before a Chinese spy balloon was shot down off the coast of South Carolina could signal a notable advancement in China's airship program, demonstrating a move more versatile and maneuverable craft than previously seen or known. The images taken in November of 2022 by U.S. satellite imaging company Black Sky show a roughly 100-foot-long blimp in the middle of a nearly kilometer-long runway at a desert military complex in northwestern China. It says CNN presented the imagery to a number of aerospace experts who confirmed that they show a blimp and runway bookended by a pivot point used to launch airships, as well as a massive, nearly 900-foot airship hangar. 900 feet. That's 90 stories. That's huge. That's a skyscraper. So again, this is it's hard to see. This doesn't transfer over in this picture, but
well, 9 of those blimps can fit in there.
That's so crazy. Yeah, 9. Yeah, so they could be building those all over the place, and then they could manufacture many, many, many. And I don't think they would have a distance limit either, especially depending on what they're powered by. It's pretty crazy stuff. Thank you, Yobi. Hello, y'all. Hope y'all had a great weekend. Thank you, Beer Juice, Priscilla R, Skyhouse, Cognitable, Yobi as well. Thank you. And Company 328, thank you for always stopping by. Thank you for dropping a Ninjagini in the chat. Thank you. I appreciate your support. Thank you. And Vault, thank you. Comet Moon, thank you. And then Beer Juice, thank you for gifting out badges to different Foogle fam. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Dex, do you want to cover the Russian pilots tried to dogfight U.S. jets over here? U.S. Central Command says.
So apparently a few videos have come out, at least are being talked about by U.S. Central Command and others in the DoD. And they're basically saying that while they're not necessarily firing upon us, these Russian jets have been engaging our jets in what would be like a dogfight style maneuver, close quarters, bringing things around, basically trying to provoke them. I would think, like getting behind somebody, locking in on them so that you could take them down, all those types of things that are very, that are aggressive, so to speak, as opposed to just, flying aside or checking out somebody from a distance or making sure somebody's, keeping out of territory they shouldn't be. So I think they're bringing this out right now as it relates to what's going on and the potential escalation with things with Russia. We've had the incident with the drone. We've had other incidences that came out of the leaks talking about how they had fired upon a UK aircraft, but then they reported it as a malfunction and that they really didn't fire upon them, but they actually did, according to the leaks. They did do that. So, of course, it's hard to, unless you were there, we'll never know the real truth, because this is all coming from people that like to make up stories and tell all sorts of lies if they need to fit their narratives. And it's part of their mission as far as the psychological portion of warfare. But anyway, back to the point, they're saying here that in Syria, this has happened numerous times, that these jets have been engaging with our F-16s and other planes in a very unsafe manner, very much akin to trying to dogfight with us.
Yeah, so like we said, take everything with a grain of salt. Everything that's said, there's so much BS out there, it's not even funny, including that previous story. It's like this stuff is coming from the 3-letter agency, right? CNN. All right, and before we move on, this is a real and absolute recommendation for me. This is the systems that I use. In fact, these are my absolute favorite part of my arsenal of survival. And again, I've been doing prep for 9.5 years since I got serious about it, way before my YouTube channel. And out of everything I have, my energy solar generators literally have saved my butt more than anything. And this is during regular events, like just normal blackouts for storms, because I live in this crazy conversion zone. Energy makes the best solar generators on the market, in my opinion, and they make some of the most reliable and tough generators. That is only tougher now that they have the new Flex Tactical. This I don't even have yet. This is on pre-order. These are how they've teamed up with the military and the U.S. Air Force. So they helped them design the Flex Tactical. Now it has dust and water resistance. It now has an integrated battery for extreme cold temperatures. So that's if you go the ultimate tactical route for all of your stuff. This isn't going to be for everybody. I think the for everybody would either be the X2. This is where the battery is built in. This is the newer lithium iron phosphate technology, which has more charges. It's able to go a longer time, more charge cycles without degrading the battery. And then there's the Flex 1500. This is my by far favorite. I think that everything has their... In fact, the X2 would be my favorite if it was expandable. But the Flex 1500 can be expanded like Legos. So you can actually get, initial system, get a battery, get some solar panels, and then you can actually add a brick that triples the inputs. So you can actually, just like it shows you right here, you can actually get a supercharger unit and then put that in the middle. That it turns it from 4 panels max into 12 panels max. Then you can also get a UPS system brick. It's about half the size of a battery. That one will turn it into an uninterrupted power supply. essentially meaning you can plug in your fridge to it, then plug this into your wall, and when your power goes out, all of the stuff that's plugged in, or if you have it mainly routed into this thing, this will take over instantly. That's what's so cool about this is it can change. It can be modular. They also have this whole list of low wattage accessories like stoves and coffee makers and toasters and different things that you can essentially plug in, and they take virtually no power, including their lights, their chainable lights. They look like really fancy Christmas lights, but they are the brightest thing I've ever seen, and they take about 9 watts of energy. So they take almost no energy, and they can light up an entire field. And that's just one of them. You can chain them together and light in a campsite or your house or whatever. So these things I really do believe in, and they're made like tanks. So you can get cheaper ones. You can go and get a YouTube ad one from, any number of the, what I think the funniest one is the ones that have like an American patriotic name. Most of them are straight up China companies. This one, again, has some of the best features on the market. Plus, it's gonna work when you need it. And if you're getting something for an SHTF situation, you want it to work in an SHTF situation. So if you want to get one of these, there's a wait for the Flex and for the Tactical because the lithium is now in such high demand. Lithium's going to keep going up. So if you do want to make an investment like this, I would make at least the initial one, and then try to build on top of it if you can't afford to do what you like, the system you want of your dreams. But then you can keep adding batteries to this. And if they update the top unit, what's cool is you can just get the top unit and put it on your existing batteries. So it's kind of a future-proof system because you can basically tweak it out and change the system as time goes on. So that's what's really cool. I really do believe that this will end up saving people's butts. So if we pick an affiliate, it's going to be something that I love and use and I've used these almost on a daily basis. I've used them to charge my phones. I've used them to charge everything. And that I think that is going to make your life easier, save your life, or make your life more comfortable during a disaster, or prevent you from a disaster altogether. This is really awesome. Marfooglenews.com/energy. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Not only will you save money, but you'll also be helping our channel at the same time. They don't need to pay me to say good things about them. When they gave me the Flex 15, which they did give me the Flex 1500 and 2 batteries, that was enough. Once you try this thing, you don't have to be told. These things are absolutely amazing. So go to marfooglenews.com/energy. Make sure to go check it out. And then Russian official drone causes fire at Crimea oil reservoir. So it says a massive fire erupted in an oil reservoir in Crimea after it was hit by a drone, a Russia-appointed official there reported on Saturday. It says Mikhail Razvyev, the Moscow-installed governor of the Black Sea Peninsula's port city of Sevastopol, posted videos and photos of the blaze on his Telegram channel. Razvozhev, and I tried to say this on the news channel too, said that the fire was assigned the highest ranking in terms of how complicated it would be to extinguish. It is now extinguished. If you saw videos of this, I know that yesterday, I believe Nate showed it on Canadian Prepper. I believe a few others actually showed the video. It is massive. Obviously, you're talking about oil, and it is extremely hard to put out. But what they did is I think they brought in a plane, and they ended up dropping it on it and put the extinguished on it. But the main point, though, is that this was an attack inside what is now called their country, at least in their opinion. And it says the incident came a day after Russia fired more than 20 cruise missiles and 2 drones at UKR, taking the lives of at least 23 people. So they ended up doing a strike. Now they have responded. Even though people look at this as a tit for tat in some ways, they went into what is now modern-day Russia, according to Russia. Obviously, it's Crimea, which they annexed. But now they're also supposedly hitting inside of Russia. Not, Crimea, but Russia. There's even a supposed event that happened inside of an event where Putin was supposed to be a drone that blew up right where he was supposed to visit. So they called it an attempted assassination. But then they said, oh, that wasn't, and they weren't there. There's a bunch of BS going on. I guess the main kind of way to look at this is just be aware of that these things are happening, and it could have been something much more serious. And if you know how serious it's getting right now, then you will have a general idea of how prepared you should be. You shouldn't be, like I've always said, don't ride the roller coaster. When everybody is hyped up and afraid, don't be normal. And when everybody is super complacent and super calm, you still need to be at that base level of prepared. Because right now, it's getting really bad. Most of you guys know this. All the Foogle fam knows. All of my mods, by the way, almost all of them have their stuff like completely set up. Even the mods that have struggled and they have made it work. They have done all sorts of things to basically make almost no budget work and get prepped. So I hope that with all of this going on right now, even if you think that half of it or all of it is propaganda, I'd highly recommend just preparing yourself for any kind of retaliation that could come from this. Because if you follow what is happening and the information that's coming out, there is evidence to say that the U.S. is super involved and that they might retaliate against us for the things that are happening to them. This is why people should pay attention. If you've listened to how they've said that there's going to be some sort of cyber event, that there's a high probability of a catastrophic cyber event in the next 2 years, 93% of the world's top experts, that will be here. I think that will be here on U.S. soil or in Europe. So if you're in either one of those places, I would highly recommend having a plan B. Dex, so they have struck, and then this was the image of it. It's massive. They did get it out.
Yeah, this was.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this was definitely done to create a lot of I don't call it publicity, but PR or attention. This is huge. It was huge in the sense that when it happened, headlines were flying all weekend long about major, event, major attack, major, etc. on Crimea. And so they got a lot of, I guess, credit for the size of this type of event. Now, at the end of the day, it didn't hurt their oil. Nobody got injured. The fire got put out, but it certainly went down that path of looking really good for them, for UKR, and probably shaking up a lot of the folks that live in that area around Crimea to think that, wow, they're reaching this far in. And they're doing, potentially what has the visual appearance of significant damage. So it definitely gave them that. I don't call it an advantage, but it definitely gave them that, extra bit of juice, so to speak, out of this particular event. Even though after the fact, it sort of doesn't seem to be as big as everyone made it out to be over the weekend.
No, and how quickly they actually were able to put it out. A lot of people were surprised with how big of a fire it is, with what ranking of a fire it was, and how fast they were able to extinguish it. So this is available over on the website. Also, the article that finishes the details, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com. Dex, do you want to talk about Russia to lodge official protest over seizure of embassy school in Warsaw? You guys heard my opinion over on Marfoogle News. Now here's Dex's.
Well, so over the weekend, basically in Poland, they basically confiscated the school, and they did it in a way that, because the school was mostly used by the Russian diplomats that were there in the embassy. So they said they have a reason why they said they could do it. But of course, Russia's like, wait, you can't do that. That's good. That goes against these conventions, the Vienna Convention and other things. So it's now causing a sort of a hot point, at least from a diplomatic standpoint. They didn't take over the embassy, but they did take over the school that was mostly used by the embassy employees or the diplomats that are there and their families that live there. So definitely a big slap in the face to those folks there. A big push from Poland against Russia, and now Russia is very upset and says they're going to, not only lodge a complaint, but they're probably going to have some sort of, response to this. So I don't know how if it'll be diplomatic response or what else they're going to do, but they're not liking what has happened, and these are sort of the things that you start to see when countries get prepared to go into conflict with each other. They start abandoning their embassies. They start taking back land. We just saw the other day UKR has reclaimed the embassy land, that the land lease that was given to Russia for the embassy there. They took it back completely. They're kicked out. I guess they left anyway when the conflict started, but they've now taken over the building and taken over the land. It's no longer part of theirs. So these little actions that you see are definitely the foreshadowing of things to come. And it definitely, I agree with what Adam said over on the news channel, Marfoogle News, that this is likely to be the hot spot if things kick off between NATO and Russia in a more public way, as opposed to this proxy way that is going on right now with UKR in the middle. Poland is right in the target zone.
Yeah, and if you do think that this is orchestrated whatsoever, like where they're high-fiving behind closed doors, Poland has already set up the anti-tank measures on their border. I think it and people are looking at Finland right now. Finland may also be they're planning on installing actual infrastructure in Finland. And this is like I told you guys a month ago. They're digging trenches. They're making a fence. They're doing all of that as well. They're going to be putting anti-tank measures there. I mean, it goes with the territory, literally. But Poland is this is going to be. I just see it too. History repeating itself. Poland is going to be part of World War III as well. A big part of it. It was a huge part of World War II, and now it's like it's repeating itself. I'm praying to Jesus that all of this doesn't happen, and this isn't a beneficial thing for anybody. It's not a beneficial thing for me. If I can see already what is going to happen, and I foresee when the actual World War III, in my opinion, it's already begun, but when things are declared, when it's official, when NATO troops and Russian troops or Chinese troops or whoever is going against each other, the internet is going to be a horrible place. Control the info, control the people. Look they've already gotten rid of two of the most vocal people who do not kind of go with the flow. And they did the same thing right before CV. Remember when they got rid of Alex and others? Everybody that basically went against the grain. Poof, gone. Now they're doing the same thing. Many people just disappearing like crazy. This is bad. I foresee in the next few months something massive happening. And nobody's going to be there to question it. So I don't want any of this to happen. This is the internet is going to, everything is going to happen when this happens. I do not want this to happen. Like I said, I'm praying that this does not happen. And I hope if you're not a prayer, that you send your positive vibes, you throw a Hail Mary, whatever you want to do, you should be directing it towards the world right now, because everybody's in their own bubble. Everybody is contained right now. This is a long game, and unfortunately we're 20 years into this long game, and we're right at the touchdown area, and touchdown is devastation. So I'm really hoping that people are prepared, and that's a serious thing. I've been telling you guys for years, but I know there's people at home that go, oh yeah, I'll get around to it. There's procrastinators, or there's just general people that can't really do it right now. with everybody's financially struggling right now. I can only imagine the stress that some people may have because they can't afford to do it. So I do want to work on something on getting absolutely the lowest cost or free ways to get prepared, because I think it is go time. I think we are mere months away. And I hope in 5 months people go, you said we're mere months away. Oh, I don't see anything. I will thank God when they say that. I think we are so close, you can smell it. And I've been doing this for 5 years, and I knew it was coming. I just, now that it's actually here, it's very scary. It's scary for all of us, especially if you have kids. I can only imagine if we actually had to leave our home or go somewhere with all of our kids. It's a scary thought. It's a very, very scary thought. Or if you have elderly that you have to take or to protect. The matriarchs and the patriarchs of the families need to be paying attention right now. That's just my opinion. What's yours? My point is not to scare people. My point is to be real with you and to tell you what I think. And that's what I think. And I may be wrong. And I hope I am. By the way, thank you, Be Real Beast. Thank you, J Girl. That's me. I appreciate that. Be Real. Thank you. Says they ran the AI already and came back that the possibility of intelligent life other than us is pretty much non-existent. So they ran the AI already and came back that the possibility of intelligent life other than us is pretty much non-existent. Huh? I would love I'd love to see what they found and what that's from. I feel like we've covered that about a year ago. Like they put it into the supercomputer and it said that it was probably nil or something. Or I feel like I've seen that talked about by what's-his-face, the black scientist that's all over every science channel. And then Zen1AZ, thank you. Abide, thank you. Who am I talking about? That guy who's like the space guy. The guy that does his own show, and it's right at the tip of my tongue.
Neil deGrasse
Tyson. Yes. And he has such a unique name too. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's yeah. What do you guys think? You think he's right about everything? He does make a lot of good points, but he's very confident in his opinion. Air defense forces destroy all Russian missiles and drones over Kiev. So, mind you, we are supporting the side, and we don't want it to be losing. Preliminary reports indicate that all Russian missiles and drones in the sky over Kiev were destroyed in the early hours of May 1st. Did they only shoot one? Last night, the enemy carried out another massive air assault on UKR. It is the second in a row in the past 3 days, according to the preliminary information. It says the air raid in the capital lasted for about 3 hours. Once again, the Russians have performed a complex attack, deploying cruise missiles and drones simultaneously. And according to preliminary reports, our air defense forces have destroyed all enemy missiles and UAVs in Kiev airspace. The information is being confirmed. It's being confirmed, folks. So this doesn't seem right. Or they are sending over cheap equipment and our tax dollars are going to be sending $500,000 missiles to take these down. A lot of folks are looking at this like a war of attrition, where they are basically having them use up all of these resources, and some even believe that it is using up our resources so that we may be weaker later down the road. Dex, they're saying that they basically knocked everything out of the sky.
That's correct. That's what they're saying. They're claiming, and this is partially the response, I guess, from Vlad over the Crimea and other incursions that were going on. So these have been coming in repeatedly, as they claimed. But the other interesting thing you got to keep in mind is the Patriot system is there now. And it could have been deployed in Kiev. I don't know if it has or if it is. I think they have one or two systems so far I know Zelensky came out and said, yeah, these are great. We need 20 of them because I think they have enough to cover like one big city like Kiev. They would want to cover multiple locations. But that would be insightful too, is if this system, in addition to the other equipment they got, caused them to actually do what they're claiming they have done, which was stop everything that was coming through. If that's the case, if it's true, that's a big deal for Vlad, and it probably means that he will change the game or, do something completely different or drastic if what he's doing now is not going to work at all.
Well, he also could be testing where these Patriot missiles are. He could be sending up, and then the next night, because it says 3 days in a row, right? So if they truly did knock out everything, and they could, so the Patriot system, if it is, but I would love, if you are former military and have personally dealt with the Patriot system, please tell me in chat, how many, because they didn't get 50 million of these things, they got a few. And if they are attacking an area where this is protecting, how many can it take down in a minute? How many can it take down in an hour? How many slots of this? Like, I don't know if this is HIMARS or the Patriot system or whatever, but does it have 4 missiles that can hit down 4? So if they send over 5, will it take down 4 and will it reload? And I mean, these are huge things. Do they have to manually load it? Can it send out 16 at a time? How big are I can look up, I can Google, but I'd love to hear from military. How would you overcome this? If it can take 16 down in one go, if the enemy knows that, the next day they're going to shoot over 32. At least you would think that. They're making it out like Russia is now out of missiles again. I just saw on Twitter again, all of the pro-UKR things are saying that they opened up one of the missiles and they showed from a UKR journalist showing, look, they're sending over dummy missiles that are empty. I think that's Ganda. The thing, I'm not hoping that Vlad wins this thing. I am looking for the objective truth, and I think that they obviously want us to believe that this is UKR winning because we are footing the bill. A huge portion of it. Billions and billions of dollars of taxpayer dollars are going over there. So we need to believe not only, one, that this is something that is absolutely necessary for world security, but it is, B, also something that we are winning and that we are not losing. Most people are seeing right through all of this. I don't know, though. I might be wrong on this one. Maybe the Patriot system is so good. But if they know that this is what it's, if they're able to take that down, the Patriot system, I believe, may be wrong, but it's pretty expensive to use. So the more they use this thing, the more it's going to cost. Go ahead, Dex.
I just want to clarify, the question you're asking people to respond to is not a top secret question. It's not operational security. It's not things that isn't listed on Wikipedia or on Google. So I know a lot of people in chat are saying, don't give up the secrets. It's not what you're asking.
No. That's why I said I can Google it.
You don't know. I mean, you can go Google it. It's public.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that. Everybody in chat is sort of.
There's nothing top secret about.
Some people are upset about it.
Yeah, there's nothing top secret about the Patriot system. Vladimir Putin can look up how many missiles per minute. The thing is they sell these to multiple countries, and you can go and buy this. If you're a country, you can go and buy this from the manufacturer. You can go to Raytheon's website and find it. I know that most of these military guys have worked around the Patriot system, and we have over 500 active military guaranteed. I think it's closer to 11 or 1,200 now, but we have a guaranteed from when we had Discord over 500 active and retired military. So I know you guys have worked with them. But yeah, this isn't top secret stuff. We're not saying like loose lips sink ship. I love when people say loose lips sink ships though too, because that was actually U.S. the Office of Wartime Information. That was a propaganda campaign for factory workers to keep them quiet about things. It was actually a piece of propaganda. So the loose lips sink ships is actually saying something that was our propaganda. So I just think it's kind of funny. That was a piece of propaganda that we put out saying basically if you talk, then you're going to sink ships and you're going to take people's lives. It was probably a good piece of propaganda, but it's funny because it was a piece of propaganda from WW2. But at the same time, a lot of this is transparent, and that's because of stuff like this. The reason why they had the Wartime Office of Information, and the reason why they did this is because World War I was so untransparent that they demanded if there was going to be another war, that it needed to be more transparent so people knew what they were doing, knew why they were going to war. It's also the reason why all of this is covered so in depth is because people get really pissed off when they don't know anything about where their tax dollars are going and what is going on and what's happening and why their family members are coming home in a coffin. So that's why World War II, a lot of things changed if you look back in history. If you're a history major, you can explain that to some of the folks here. I'm not a history major, but I've researched it a lot, and it's pretty amazing how closely related World War II was to World War I, and why World War II happened was an extension of World War I, and why World War III is going to be an extension of World War II. Look at all the same players. We're doing the same thing over and over again. The U.S. is sending over money and military equipment to Europe for a European conflict, and now NATO is getting involved. Now we are about to then again, if something like a Pearl Harbor happens, we're in it like Flynn. And that's what I think is going to happen. And who knows, it might be the cyber event. It might be the cyber event that kicks it all off. Putin secretly snubbed from major summit over arrest fears. Well, at least that's what MSN is saying. Dex, do you want to talk about it? And by the way, I tweeted about this morning, 6 a.m. or something like that. South Africa is now, they're now saying that they probably will arrest him, whatever else.
They have to. It's part of their agreement. They're obliged to. I know the people that have talked about it, like the military that said, oh, we'll bring him in, we'll deliver him to the meeting, and we'll deliver him back to the airport.
I don't think so.
They have the right to say that, but it doesn't mean that that's the law. The law there is, what the government, and they're obliged to do with their ICC. They did try to get out of the ICC, but I don't think that they were able to do that. I don't know what kind of ramifications are involved in that. I don't know what other things are hinged upon that. And if they ignore the ICC, which they're a member of, what the penalties are for it. It may be greater than they're willing to accept. But now they're basically saying, how can we get Vlad to not come? Can we have him join via Zoom? Can we have him not come to our country? Because we don't want to be in this position where we have to, where we're going to be obliged to arrest him. Which is a complete about face, because it was like we were talking about this for weeks now, and it seems like when it first came out, it was like, oh well, this could be an issue, and then it was like, oh well, they're not going to abide by it, and now they're going, yeah, we kind of don't want them to come here because now we think we have to abide by it. So it is creating an issue, and I think really when you go back to it, one of the things we said here on our channel is, did they create this because they knew that meeting was happening and they created this this warrant to arrest him as a means of preventing that BRICS meeting from happening, or have it happen with him there? They as one of the many ways to sort of push back against the BRICS stuff, was that part of the whole notion of why they created this arrest warrant for him.
And it also could be where they make all of this public. They say, now things have changed. Something has changed. They go, shoot, do we actually have to arrest him? And then maybe they will do it in secret. He'll fly in under the radar. Something will happen. They'll do the meeting. And then we won't find out until afterwards. Something like that. And they won't tell on their end because they will get in some sort of trouble. Or they have this meeting somewhere else. This is BRICS. Understand that there are many out there that believe that this happened solely so this BRICS thing would not progress. Dex, is it not the opinion of many that that in any way possible that the Western countries are going to try to stop BRICS from happening, because this threatens the dollar.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was saying is we were speculating that the timing of this warrant was done in such a way to prevent this potential meeting from happening, or at least prevent Putin from being there himself. And what kind of harm or damage does that create to BRICS and its ability to move forward?
I've talked about it before. I know the White House press secretary, it's the worst job. I even said, I feel bad for anybody who has it. They get the worst problems. But the current one, obviously she has it rough. Could you imagine being the White House press secretary with the current prez and with everything that's going on right now? I would absolutely hate it. Especially with all of everybody, since we know, and we'll just be honest with each other, how many operations are going on right now and how many are just like blatantly like everybody sees through the crap. Imagine having to go up on a stage and read all of that and be like, oh yeah, oh no, he didn't say that. Well, it might have sounded like that word, but it was actually not. And he didn't actually go off on a tangent for 15 minutes talking about his socks. That was actually it was a script, and it was wrote wrong, and it was on purpose. It was a joke for SNL, and you guys just didn't know we were taping. Okay. Yeah. And then Russian freight train derails after being hit by explosive device. Do you guys also look at things like through the lens, and we probably would do it way too much, and by we I mean all of us, where we look at something and go, oh, it's suspicious. Well, everything is suspicious, and everything we're like, that's not a coincidence. Yeah, but sometimes it's not. Russian freight train derails and bursts into flames after tracks are hit by an explosive device 37 miles from UKR border. It says a Russian freight train derailed and burst into flames today after this device detonated on the rail tracks just 37 miles from the UKR border. The train, carrying oil and construction materials near the front lines, was targeted in the Bryansk region of Russia, the local Governor Alexander Bogomaz said, adding that there was no casualties. Video shows several destroyed tank carriages ablaze, laying on their side following the blast, with dark gray smoke billowing into the air. Russian Railways, the country's rail operator, said that the incident occurred at 7:17 Moscow time. It said that the locomotive and 7 freight wagons were derailed when the locomotive caught fire. And again, it does not have too much about what happened. It says an unidentified explosive device went off at the 136-kilometer mark at the Bryansk-Uneka rail line, derailing a freight train. It says Russian authorities say that the region, which borders both UKR and Belarus, has seen multiple attacks by pro-UKR sabotage groups in the 14 months since invaded. It says separately, the governor of Russia's Leningrad region near St. Petersburg said that a power line had been blown up overnight and an explosive device found near a second line. Governor Alexander Jostenko posted photos of destroyed power lines and metal supports on his Telegram page on Monday morning. He said that Russia's FSB Federal Security Service was working on the site and did not say who he believed was responsible for the incident. So they don't know. The timing of it was like an hour after there was some sort of trip by one of the NSA officials, I want to say. Somebody lined that up on Twitter. I'll have to go try to fetch that. But it makes you think, is this UKR? Is this somebody else? Are they fueling it? Or was it just simply UKR is attacking them? Or did they do it to themselves? Who knows? Dex, do you think it was UKR? And if so, I wonder what was on this train. I wonder, what kind of freight did they have on there? Was there anything important?
Oh, I'm sure it had something to do with UKR, given the the type of event. It wasn't like an accident. This was, obviously somebody planned this to do it. So yeah, this is probably all part of this quote unquote counteroffensive that's going on. That doesn't seem very counteroffensive just yet, but they keep talking about it. And now we're in the month of May. They said May would be the month that they could spin it up. They said February, then they said March, then they said April. Now they're saying May. So
what do you want to bet that UKR says, oh no, this is actually Russians that don't want to be in the conflict? Watch, there's a piece tomorrow that says like that this is actually a Russian rogue group that essentially absolutely decries that they should not be in their special military operation and all that. That I just see something like that being said. And Twitter founder Jack Dorsey says Musk wasn't an ideal leader after all. We'll talk about that in just a second. I do want to remind you, if you don't have long-term survival food, this is one of the most affordable ways you can get a whole lot. Sorry about that. The sound went out there. This is a great way to get a whole lot in bulk for a very affordable price. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. You can actually get freeze-dried 25-year shelf life food. And right now you can get the Alexa Pure Pro thrown in for free. It's a $275 value. It's a gravity-fed water filtration system. So essentially you'll have 3 months of food covered and you'll have water covered as well. Make sure to look into getting some extra filters. And again, this is something that will filter 99% of the contaminants out and do it a whole lot faster than a generic filter. These are professional grade. They do a whole lot of water at once, especially if it's SHTF situation. You might have to shower with it. You might have to do everything with it. So go to marfooglenews.com/prep. And again, you can get that discount and you'll be helping our channel and you'll be getting, again, food that is going to last you until 2052. All right. And so the Jack Dorsey says Musk wasn't an ideal leader after all. This guy, why? He went like so far over one end. Just curious, what do you guys think happened to Jack? Or is he that stereotype from the movies that goes off while he was the CEO, went off and did like yoga, like straight up the stereotype that we've seen in all of these movies where he's just an eccentric CEO that does yoga and goes on bird watching trips or something. He's always wearing tie-dye like he's a hippie. But what he changed? Like, what do you think happened? Dex, go ahead.
I just want to remind everybody, this is the same Jack who said over a year ago, quote unquote, Elon is the singular solution I trust. Quote, I trust his mission to extend the light of consciousness. Remember, he was a big fan of him during the whole acquisition. Now, mind you, my opinion on this is he was a fan of him during the acquisition because he wanted to get paid for those shares that he owned at that high dollar price, which Elon eventually had to pay. He agreed to pay at that price, and that's the price it was worth. And it was overinflated because we found out later that the system was full of bots and there wasn't as many people on there as they were originally priced by. I also think that, Jack probably has done this about face because all of a sudden, everything that he had been doing with this company for years is now seeing the light of day. All of the infiltration from the government, all of the collusion with, eliminating certain things that they didn't want talked about by three-letter agencies, by, other political figures and whatnot. All of that stuff had come out. The Twitter files had come out, and it makes them look bad. It makes the company look bad. The fact that they laid off 80% of the people, okay, or a lot of them quit, but another chunk of them were laid off. But nonetheless, 80% less people, and the company's still functioning. It's still running. Not only is it running, it's evolving and making new features and rolling out new functionality. Some may say it's buggy. Some may say it's not the right thing. But nonetheless, he just proved that the company was super bloated. was doing a whole lot of nefarious things in the eyes of many people, and Jack Dorsey was at the helm. So I think he basically was the light of his labors were shined bright, and he's like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna change my tune and say Elon's a bad guy now. Makes total sense. I'm sure that's why he's doing it. But it makes himself look bad.
So I want to say, hey, this guy is a hero. I want to believe that this guy, and I do stand with him on the freedom of speech thing. I think that what was happening on the Twitter note was, yes, they were going bankrupt, just like all of these other platforms. Everybody asks, like, how do you get rid of all these people that are making a ton of money for the platform or making this? How do they do that and not lose money? Well, they do lose money, but guess what? They get it back from these ghost investors or governments that say, hey, yeah, you'll take a hit, but we'll make up for it. Oh, you think you're going to lose $80 billion? Well, we'll find you $80 billion somewhere. But we want you to get rid of this, this, and this, control this, this, and this, get rid of these people. Don't let this on your site. Don't let that. And that's what I think was keeping Twitter afloat. Twitter was being used as a machine to shape everything. And who knows? I want to think that he's doing this. He says he did it to partly save that part of the world. Twitter was being used to decide what our culture was. And most people are like, what? No, it wasn't. That's what MSM and everybody and all of this stuff, all of these high corporations that are actually deciding this stuff, they were using Twitter to be a gauge. So think about this. They could get a million. Well, think about this. China could use its 1 million-man army, have something go viral on Twitter, and then everybody's like, oh, this is what people think now. When in reality, it's actually an artificial thing that they pumped up, and it's like, oh, well, we should do this because it's wrong, or I'm offended by this because it's horrible, and we should never say this again, or we should delete this movie, or we should take this movie off of it because it's offensive to me. When in reality, no one ever had a problem with it in the first place. But it was part of this bigger operation that was going on. I think that's what was happening with Twitter. They say that it was on its road to bankruptcy. And he says he had no choice. Musk, what's his name? Dorsey. Dorsey's always been, this guy's a peckerwood. He wanted his money. He wanted to get his money and bounce out. Now that it's all done, now because he was part of this. For a second, people thought that Jack Dorsey was honest about, like, oh, I never wanted it to go this way. He goes with the flow. He wanted his money at that time. He wanted to be, on some private jet doing yoga, burning some patchouli. And the whole thing with Twitter is just crazy. How they let Twitter essentially run what was going on with our culture. Nobody's offended by any of this stuff they say we're offended by. Nobody. And they're changing culture. They're getting, I could not believe, side rant, Dex then, what was the song? It's Cold Outside. They don't play that. Baby, It's Cold Outside. Isn't that the one they canceled on the radio? One that they've played around Christmas?
Aggressive.
Oh. They're canceling all sorts of old movies. They want to cancel all sorts of old movies. They have a list of like 1,000 movies, including Ace Ventura. Like, oh, done. You cancel Ace Ventura, I'm just done. Dex, go ahead.
I was going to say one other point to keep in mind with why Jack would flip and all of a sudden rally against Elon. He also launched Blue Sky, which is a brand new, very much looks exactly like Twitter, go figure, social networking app. So there's a new app that he built, that he put out, one of his companies, and it's almost like a replica of Twitter. And I can guarantee you, we know where it's headed if it gains enough popularity. We know we'll probably see a repeat of the types of shenanigans that they were doing for years under Twitter.
It all makes sense now. And then all of the liberals will have blue sky, although they'll say it's red. And then the conservatives will have Twitter. We're in a circus. Jammer 1, hey, Miss Jamie, thank you for being here. Spirits to Energy WSX, what is happening? So do you have a WSX? That's a Subaru, right? Oh no, that's a WRX. Never mind. I've always thought those cars were cool. Sonic Boom, Donna Honey, Romaine Jane. After this life, it's hard to be offended by anything. Well, think about it. We only have so much time on this planet unless these elites come up with a immortality thing with AGI. Why spend all of it offended? They're packing themselves in a bubble. The youth of today are offended by absolutely everything. They're offended for other people, and they've been taught this. It's been ingrained in them. I just tweeted my aunt, and I'm so sorry. This is luckily no, I know some of her friends watch, but I could not believe. My cousins had the picture perfect mother. Raised in suburbia, had every opportunity. Their mother and their father, both beautiful people. They loved their kids. They took them to everything. Those kids have every opportunity, and they got every opportunity. From trips, everything else. They had love. They had the family I never had. I never had I was rolling around in my mom's camper. If my mom was there, we were under bridges, homeless. These girls got everything. Everything. They went to soccer. They did all of the normal things, normal activities, everything. And their mother and father both loved them more than anything in the world. Anything. This woman has done everything for her girls. Now, because she is conservative, those girls don't even talk to her. And she's in her mid 60s now. You only have so much time with your mother, and if my mother was still around, or my father would, if either one of them was still around, I'd be spending as much time as I possibly would be. But now, because they have a political difference, which they have copied and pasted, literally, they've responded to my other aunts in a text to certain things, and they've literally copied and pasted Vox or Vice articles, and their thoughts are literally somebody else's op-ed. And it makes me so sad to see that they're treating the woman who brought them up and literally sacrificed half her life for them over politics. They don't call, they don't anything. And they got the perfect upbringing. And, it's hard to say they're perfect. Usually there's something wrong. Usually something bad's happening at home. None of that. They literally had a picture perfect. I even behind the scenes were perfect. I mean, it's hard. You don't see that. And because of politics, they are now not talking. And it's been like that for years. And it all came once high school started, and that's when we all saw it. I saw, and my oldest daughter, she has that instilled. Her friends say, if you're conservative, you're racist. This is how the youth think right now. We are in such a, and by the way, I'm friends with liberals. I'm friends with this. I wasn't a conservative, wasn't a liberal, wasn't anything. But now I just feel like it's objective truth and it's BS. So lately, I guess I've just kind of said, I'm tired of being silenced. And I bet a bunch of other people do too. I think if we were all a little bit louder, that we would be heard, because we are the majority. Thank you, everybody. I love you. Dex, thank you for your help today. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
I'm sure
Good
you
job,
see
brother.
it too, right?
I have young adults now as children, and thank God they didn't drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak, from their education. But man, everybody around them certainly has.
The way they just, and they don't have an individual thought. And that's not like not seeing it from their perspective. They're literally copying and pasting their thoughts from articles that are from people with agendas. I just don't understand it. This comes from somebody who, there's things on the left liberal. I am technically a late 1960s liberal. I haven't changed. I'm not saying I was born but if you look at what a liberal was in the 60s, I am a 1960s liberal. I go by the same values that my aunt instilled in me. And this is a different aunt. But late 1960s liberal, if you were a late 1960s liberal, now the whole thing is moved to where a late 1960s liberal is now on the right. That's insane. Liberals used to care about free speech. Now free speech is violence. That's incredible. Scary world we're in. Thank you, everybody. I love you. Thank you, B-Roll Beast. Thank you, Abide. Thank you, Zen1AZ. Renee Alera. Thank you. Whoa. I hope you, if one of those was on, I think one of those was on accident. I apologize, Renee. Thank you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the super stickers. Thank you. Joseph Newhouse says, I deleted Twitter and TikTok has some good stuff. Twitter is kind of cringe. It depends on who you follow, Joseph. And I agree. Every platform is cringe. But I guess it depends on who you follow. If you follow some good people, then you get some really good stuff. Happy belated birthday, Adam. Thank you, Danish Girl. I appreciate that. Much love to you and Dex J and wonderful mods. Nickel Wise, watch is this week. IZ this week. IZ. I will have to... What is... Dex, am I missing some? IZ. Is that a abbreviation? I guess I'm missing.
I'm not putting it together.
Watch IZ this week. Huh.
Unless they mean is, because we use that as our own
great. Oh, Nickel Wise. Thank you for doing that, by the way. Okay. Watch Israel. Okay. Stephen McMahon, I think our leaders, and by the way, we do, it's how many times you say it. It's not, it's like they pick up on the amount. I think our leaders want all these different currencies. The plan is for all of them to fail, then ours, Stephen McMahon. Yeah, collapse into the one. Yeah, I actually think I agree with you. If you're saying what I think you're saying. The Patriot system isn't the only one capable of land-based air intercepts. EOD vet, you're probably right. And they probably could have knocked out some of the other stuff with other stuff. But I bet you they're spending a lot of money to knock those things out of the air. Thanks for streaming almost every night. Canada is doomed. Take my money to support freedom and have others live. Well, at some point I might not be here. So guys, make sure to hit that subscription button. It's getting bad, and it's going to get worse. Please. I just pray that you guys will back me up at some point. And I understand that I probably lose people too, but I'd rather be myself. And I think I posted on Twitter a good quote. I think it was from the great Steve Harvey, but he said, I don't want to butcher it. It said, don't worry about the people that God takes out of your life. Basically, God has heard conversations that you haven't. God has seen the actions that you haven't. And God made the moves that you couldn't make or wouldn't make. Basically, the people that are no longer in your life for whatever reason, they're out of your life for that reason. They're out of your life on purpose. That it was meant to be, and that it was based on stuff that you probably couldn't even see, and he was taking care of you. So thank you guys. Love you. Make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com. Dex is going to go over the web only. Lots of crazy stuff over here.
Absolutely. So the quickest way to get there, look down below in the description, click on that show notes link. It'll take you right to the webpage with all the content, including all the extra tweets and things that we just talked about during the show. It's all been updated there. It's on the page live pretty much as we go. There's a lot of other content. When you scroll down, you're going to get to this section called Overflow. It's where the rest of the story is, so to speak. So when you get there, that's where everything else that did not make it into the show or is additional content that sort of supports what we're talking about. So a lot of updates there around UKR, what's happening, some of the other events that were happening there. A good example, like some hackers were stealing from rich Russian crypto funds and then giving it to poor Ukrainians, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of that, not a lot of that, but a lot of UKR stories on there. So if you want the rest of that story, it's there. Hey, Yellen is saying that Yellen is Yellen. She's yelling about June 1st being the date, the potential drop dead date for the debt ceiling. Although other people are saying it, we may last longer than that. We've been saying June ourselves for a while. That was the original date that sort of came out back in January when this all started. We do have other updates around some of the stuff going on in the political spectrum, even from Macron in France to what's happening around in our country. There was some major weather events, huge tornadoes hitting or single tornado taking out like 100 homes in Virginia Beach. That's there. And some other stuff about the scientists are saying about eating meat. So for those of you that like eating meat, they're saying, hey, get rid of the veganism. You actually need meat. So that's kind of interesting. It makes me wonder what they're going to do with the lab grown meat that's coming. And then apparently another tech firm has beaten Elon's Neuralink. They've actually implanted now in 50 different people for different ailments. So that's there, along with a lot more. There's a whole lot of great additional content that's there. We put it together for you every night. It is on marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show or open up that show notes link. It's right down in the description. I'll take you right here.
Thank you, Dex, and thank your mods. Just want to clarify, I hope that everybody has a good time here, and I'm friends with people that some of you probably would say, "Why? How are you friends with them? That's this or that's that." I don't know why we can't go back 10 years to when we could just be friends with people that believe the exact opposite. I don't understand this. It's a new thing. It's being done on purpose. They are trying to divide us. Stop being offended. If you do leave because you're offended by what I say, because I do stay away from the politics, because I don't want to. I don't want to go there. But if you leave because of that, then come back when you're ready. But I really just I don't want to surround myself with people that are offended by everything. I hope that you come back, and I hope that we can laugh and have a good time when you do. I love you guys. God bless you. Have a good night. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. I'm a human being. 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 Run, Lara. Hey, I scare ya. Run, Lara. Run,